live. So I'm here with Eric on the Christ-centered Discord server. So we're out here having conversations, doing some street epistemology. Hopefully we get some more people piling in here. We only have a full at the moment. But hey, Eric, it's been a long time since we did something together.
Yeah. Pierce. It's been several months, I think. Maybe 3, 4, 5 months. So yeah, how you been?
Been doing pretty good. Might as well take this opportunity to say, hey, it was a group effort. We launched compassioneandepistemology.com. And yeah, that was a really exciting thing to do, and just living up life.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's always nice. It's always fun when you have a long-term goal, whether it be a project like a website, a YouTube channel, or even just something personal, and then you work at it for months and months, even as a team effort, and you finally achieve it. You finally see it launch and become a thing. It feels great. I think I really came to appreciate that kind of once I bought my first house about 6 years ago, and lots of projects, lots of long-term stuff like multi-month remodel issues, simple things like I want to see this building turn this color. I want to see this room turn this color. And you work at it and do all kinds of effort, blood, sweat, tears, depression, lots of alcohol, and then finally it happens, and you're like, "Oh, this is great! I accomplished something." So, yeah, it's great. Always a good accomplishment. So yeah, relish it. It's awesome. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I bought my first house, it needed a lot of work, and yeah, it was a lot of blood, sweat, tears, literal blood at times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have bled so much on this house working on it. I have a background in construction too. I was a construction worker for 5 years back when I was in my 20s. So I have enough base fundamental knowledge. Like I was a flooring guy. But I have enough general knowledge where I can basically go out and learn just about anything I need to off of like online resources like YouTube and other guides. So I know enough to get dangerous. I also know enough where I say way more often than I should, "Oh, I can do that myself and save money." Uh, and then you end up paying that price in other ways, like I said, with blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one thing I've learned past couple years especially is stop and ask yourself, is this really worth the money I'm going to save? Do I really want to do this myself to save that extra few $100s or something like that? So yeah, something you definitely want to consider as you keep on going.
Usually I do.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got a small audience in here, so we'll be inviting anybody who wants to come up on stage to talk about their beliefs. We'll be asking you questions about how you got to your belief, why it's important to you, stuff like that. So if anyone does want to come up on stage, you do have to raise your hand so we know that you want to come up on stage. On PC, I know you can you do it. I think there's a hand icon on the bottom. Mobile, I think it's also that same hand icon, but a little different place. Guess no takers yet.
We could talk a little bit while we're waiting for somebody to want to speak to us. So we can talk a little bit about what street epistemology is and kind of what can be expected. If that's good with you. I mean,
Yeah,
it's your
sure,
show, so
absolutely.
my suggestion. Yeah. So I guess maybe let's both give our take on what street epistemology is, because it's a method and a process and kind of, I don't know, it's like a conversational discussion style. So we might both have slightly different takes on it. So you want to go first? Me go first, or how you want to do
Why
that?
don't
I
you
can
go first, since I might have the slightly different take on it?
Yeah, I would imagine so. With compassionate epistemology now launching too, you have a flavor of street epistemology that you now prefer.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's great. I think anything should diversify over time, and we can get different styles and such. But anyway, street epistemology is just a conversation style, more of a questioning style, where we, as the street epistemologists, Pierce and I, we ask you in the audience, if you were to volunteer, ask you about a deeply held belief, and that belief we're here, Christ-centered. So I'm expecting probably lots of Christians to be in the audience. So for example, we can ask you, hey, what is a deeply held belief? And you can say, well, I think that Jesus is God, or I think that Jesus died for us, for our sins, and was resurrected 3 days later. We can take a belief like that and we start to ask questions around it. We ask about your confidence in that belief, your justifications for that belief. And the goal is not to break you of a belief. The goal is not to get you out of a belief specifically. The goal is to get you to question whether you're really justified in holding the belief as high as you do. And everybody holds beliefs with various levels of confidence, various levels of justification. Pierce and I are no exceptions. We have beliefs that we have maybe more confidence in than we should, based on perhaps, lacking evidence or faulty reasoning or whatever. And the goal of Street Epistemology is to help us identify those beliefs, really honestly ask ourselves, are we really justified to hold this belief in such high confidence? And get you to reflect on ways to either increase that confidence using things like evidence and reason, and other robust methodologies, or say, hey, you know what, maybe I don't have such a high justification for this belief, so I'm going to lower my confidence in it, or maybe even abandon it completely if it's if you realize, hey, I really don't have a good reason to believe this. So there's no real end goal with that other than to just get you to honestly reflect on your beliefs and why you hold them. And that's my take on Street Epistemology. Pierce?
Yeah, Eric, and that's exactly what Street Epistemology is. If you were to go to the website, it probably says almost exactly what you just said. And what I'm doing a little bit differently, and when I say it's not something that I came up with. It was not originally my idea, but it is a group effort that we're developing a compassionate epistemology. But with it, it's like a substandard. It's not substandard. Subdivision of street epistemology, is flavor of street epistemology. And instead of concentrating on how you arrived at your conclusion, what pieces of evidence you have, how you got there, it's more of why is it important to you? Why do you value this? Why is this a part of your beliefs? So, with that being said, it's more of talking about values, and a lot of times we end up talking about why one value might be more important than another value, and putting that value kind of like almost on a chart, like a priority chart. So that's really what I'm kind of doing with a lot of the claims that we might get here in the Christ-centered server. I'm assuming it might be a lot of religious claims, a lot of Christians, I would assume. And with that being said, these religious claims are more of truth claims, so it'd probably be more closer to Eric's style, just because of the nature of a truth claim. With compassionate epistemology, what I really like to do with it, and there can be multiple uses, it doesn't necessarily have to be even examining a claim. What it's really good at is normative claims. So it could be like abortion should be legal, abortion should be illegal, right? So those types of claims and why those claims are important is really where compassionate epistemology comes in. Here we are. And with that being said, nobody does have their hand up yet. So if you do want to raise your hand, we will bring you on stage. We'll have a chat. Not confrontational, not a debate. So don't worry about any of that.
Yeah, we're not here to do sick take or YouTube videos or anything like that. It's street epistemology is really just, like I said, it's a conversation
Hey,
style where we want to talk to people about things.
I just joined and
Hey,
I
Sos.
don't know what we're talking about. So could you fill me in so I could ask a question?
Well, we just went over that just a few minutes ago, but basically we're here to talk to you and ask you about your deeply held beliefs and maybe just start to gently analyze things to see what your justifications for those beliefs are and what's your confidence level in those things.
My beliefs in religion or my beliefs in what?
Could be anything, but I prefer talking about religion. It's my personal thing, but Pierce,
Oh,
he mentioned other issues too that you can talk about. So it's up to you.
I used to be atheist, but I did go to juvenile detention for assault, and I was later put on house arrest. So I think during that time in juvie, I had a connection with God. Like there was a reason why I went there, you know. And
Okay.
I feel like that a lot of other Christians can, some people are forced into religion and some people aren't. Some people are reformed. Like there are people in prison who have done heinous crimes that turn to God, and I think that's a really strong thing, to believe in.
Yeah, like believing in God, it can be a strong belief. Yeah, I'd say so. That's um, so you did some sort of uh, crime, ended up in juvie, so like a
Yeah.
detention center. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I got into a fight in school and they kind of like it was like my last strike, so they put me in handcuffs and sent me to juvenile
Mm.
detention.
And what happened in that detention center that changed your beliefs?
Well, I mean, I was scared, like I was like, oh my God, like what if like I don't like get out? Like what if they keep me in? So
Mm.
I turned to one of my inmates, like my friend. I'm still friends with him. I talk to him sometimes, but we he's the one who turned me to God and showed me that there's always like another way that you could go about your like perspective on life. And after reading a lot of the Bible, I don't have all the words memorized. I'm still like trying to like understand it. But from what I understand, like I believe that God is the one way of what I want to believe, and I'll put my life forward. And if I die today, I'll die knowing that I was a good Christian.
Hmm. Could you have imagine this scenario could have played out differently, and instead of in talking to your buddy in juvie, if he
Mm-hmm.
hadn't talked to you about God and perhaps he talked to you about something else, just
Yeah.
was your friend and really supportive and was like, "Hey man, you made some mistakes, but let's get the heck out of here. Let's straighten our stuff up, get our act together, and just
Mhm.
go be good people." Would I mean, is that possible?
I mean, yeah, but I had a lot of hate in my heart. I wasn't a very good kid growing up. I didn't really have a father figure. I was always violent, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that one step really pulled me towards like the man I am today. I'm 18 now. I'm like part native for Czech Chancy, so I get benefits from them every month because I'm signed up with them. So they help me with insurance and like taxing. So I make like maybe 2,400 a month after taxes.
Okay.
So I usually stay home, but I used to work and I've been on missions before. That it's really like I think what the Christian community does is very good, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes behind like all that, like churches and stuff. Like most churches want money. Like a lot of churches want money.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm mistaken at any point, just say, "Hey, Pierce, you got it wrong."
Mm.
But what I'm hearing is like this belief in Christianity, the Christian God. It sounds like
Mm.
this is important to you because it changed your life. You were perhaps someone who had a lot of hate in your heart, I think you said. So you're probably doing things, taking actions that weren't very loving, maybe hateful,
Yeah.
and uh, developing this belief, being confident that God of Christianity, the Bible you mentioned,
Yeah.
this changed how your perception of life maybe, and you started taking
Mm.
actions that were more loving and kind of dropped the hatefulness, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, I kind of like looked at the positive aspect of life. I was a very negative person, and I think
Yeah.
once I started believing that there were like good effects on life, that I started being happier and like actually having a better attitude. And I actually got a, I actually boosted my GPA a lot after getting out. When I went back into schooling, they allowed me back in, and I took extra classes, and I actually graduated with like a 3.4 GPA.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks,
If
man.
it,
You know, a
if
lot
you,
of like, you're atheist, right?
yes,
Yeah, a lot of atheists like are really hateful. You know, they like to talk down, but like you seem like a really good person, and I thank you for that. Like, not
thank
like
you.
putting me on the spot. You know.
Yeah, of course. I'm not gonna put anyone on the spot. Before we continue, I want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
If you were to decrease your confidence in Christianity and the Christian God, if for whatever reason you started to just have a little bit of doubt, how would that impact your life? Would you still be this person who seems to be doing really well, or would you instantly start
Mm,
just
I don't think so. I think that if I continued to do that, I would have still been on drugs. I was heavy on like marijuana and
mm,
Xanax during the Zandemic, and I was peer pressured a lot by people that I thought were my friends. But
mm,
I've met all these like people from like outside of my country, and it's like there's like better parts of the world than just being negative all the time and smoking marijuana. You know, I think that ever since I went sober, I've just been happier, and like I've actually like been able to do a lot more instead of being lazy all day.
If Souls, if you were to wake up tomorrow and for whatever reason, I'm just kind of taking what Pierce just asked and kind of like
mm,
pushing it to
Yeah.
the natural extreme of it, just kind of see what your boundaries are. If you were to wake up tomorrow and you were, whatever reason, you said, you know what, I just realized that Christianity is not true, or even you'll go as far as say, I think Christianity is categorically false. Would you
Mhm.
find yourself regressing back to how you used to be, or do you think you would hold on to your current state and continue to grow and progress and improve?
I think that I wouldn't be the same person that I was before because I'd
Okay.
still look to the positive side of things because, you know, like I said, I've had those experiences, you know, and
Mhm.
experiences plays a lot into your life, like when you get older and like when you know start to like age more, I want to say. But honestly, I don't think I'd go back to my old ways if I, you know, were to turn away from God. But I don't think that would happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying it would. I'm just the motivation behind your improvement in life. And I mean, I don't at all doubt that you, uh, uh, came to new beliefs, and those new beliefs informed your
Mhm.
actions. And now you
Yeah,
consider yourself a better person. From your own words, you said, you improved your attitude, your behavior, even your grades. And that's all
yeah.
commendable. I think that's great. I'm very happy for you. I am
Thank
also happy to hear too that the reason I asked that question was to see, okay, how dependent is your current behavior on your set of beliefs? And the fact that you can say, uh, I think I would not revert if I were to suddenly, abandon these beliefs for whatever reason. I think
Mhm.
that that's a good testament to you as a character. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for answering that. Also,
yeah. That's all I want to say. I got to go back to doing some stuff, but I'll be in the thing. I'll be listening. Uh,
all right,
Thank you for
all
talking
right,
to me and taking the
thanks,
time.
Souls.
yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Um,
So that's kind of a taste of how the conversation might go. We didn't really get into it too much because he obviously has something else that he needs to accomplish, and that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
But that's how these conversations go. So if you want to be next up on stage, all you have to do is raise your hand, and we'll bring you on up. And I want to explain a little bit about why I asked some of the questions that I asked. So at the end, I was asking them about if he would reduce his confidence in his belief of the Christian God. And the reason I asked this is because if he was to say, if I didn't believe this, I'd go right back to what I was doing. I'd go back to smoking weed and getting F's and not living his best life, right? And if he would have said that, I would have said, well, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have this conversation. Maybe maybe the benefit is so great of this belief that perhaps we should do everything that we can to keep you in this belief. Because I don't want to I don't want people to be harmed basically by any conversation that I have with them. So if that is the case that there might be harm occurring, then I wanna cut that off right there.
Yeah. And I think had we gone deeper in the conversation too, we would have probably started broaching the subject of confidence in his religious beliefs and the reasons behind that confidence. Because we could explore things like, okay, what brings your confidence up? And one of the questions we were setting up with was talking about behaviors. Because we could ask the question, and souls, if you're still listening, like I think you said you were, you can ask yourself, okay, well, you went to juvie, had a bad behavior, went to juvie, had an experience, became a Christian, and met improvement. I'm willing to bet I can go and find somebody who says, I had previous bad behavior, I went to juvie, I became a Muslim, I saw improvements in my behavior, and now here I am where I am today. And is the good behavior based off of the truth of the religion in that case? Or is it just based off of the effects that the religion has on a person? And that could have been something we could have explored. Um, because we could probably have lots of different people from lots of different walks of life, from adopting lots of different religions and getting probably generally the same result, an improvement in their life. Which raises the question, how much did that religion have to do with that? How much, and we can break that down into, did the beliefs have the effect on you, or did the actual truth of the religion have that effect on you? And we could have gone from there. So for anybody in the audience who wants to raise their hand and have a conversation with us, that's probably about the pattern you can expect in our conversations. We will talk about a belief of yours, ask you about your confidence, your justifications for it, and then we'll start asking very respectful questions. We're not going to like try to tear you apart or anything like that. Asking questions to get you to really ask yourself, okay, is this really such a good justification for my belief? Can I improve it? Is it just not good enough and I should discard it, or I should revise it, or whatever? So that's what you can pretty much expect out of this. And I think we have somebody.
I'm bringing someone
hand
up
right
on
now.
stage right now. Yep. Hello there.
Hello, hi. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm not doing so well. I'm being honest.
What's
Yeah.
going on?
I can be honest with you guys and everyone here, and I'm not going to be judged for it in any way, right?
Well, I mean, I can't control what the audience will think, obviously,
Okay.
but we're not here to judge you.
Okay, cool. No, I didn't do anything like illegal or crazy. Like, it's just this. So, I fell out of being Christian. I used to like pray a lot and everything like that, but I started, having doubts and, things like that. I started having thoughts like, oh, how do you know God exists? Why does it matter? Things, and it started overpowering me, making me like steering me away from my faith. So part of it is like, oh, they're trying to limit you. This stuff isn't real. It's not real. It's fake. How do they know? Who are they to tell you? And the stuff started making sense in my head. And also like I'd be praying and stuff, and then my things in my life would be working the way you think it would, and I'd be like, no, this is a lie. I don't want I don't want to do this stuff anymore. And then fast forward to now, and um I was kind of scared that if I fully commit myself to God, I would lose myself. I would lose who I am right now. And I work very hard to be myself right now. I'd lose my identity. I'd lose everything. And I wouldn't be where I am anymore. I'd just be somebody else.
I
And
hear you.
I know I'm not. I'm not saying it like perfectly. I'm not wording it perfectly, but I hope you guys get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And not only just that, it's like I also think that there's some demonic stuff happening and with my parents, and even and it's somehow affecting me as well. And that's why I can't break away from certain habits the way that I wish, because I done everything. I did the whole self-improvement, reading books, watching videos, meditation, journaling, everything, and it just didn't work or stick the way that I thought it would. I mean, obviously it did help, but not as much as I thought it would have.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
I
just okay.
I think the question that you need to I mean I would say ask yourself, but I'm going to ask it to you. But
Okay.
you can do what you want with it. You don't even have to answer it if you don't want to. But I think the
Yeah.
important question is why is this belief? Why is this belief in this God important to you?
Why belief in Jesus important to me? It's
Yeah.
important to me because I just it's just I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think living I don't think living the way I've been is been doing anything for me, and living according to the way I think is doing anything for me. And I think the God's way is going to be the thing that actually takes me out, because waking up is hard. Wanting getting to do. I don't know. I'm not a lazy person. Like, I can't do anything. I can very much can. It's like, why should I? What's the point of it? Why should you care to? I was even suicidal at the earlier start of this year, with other things that have been happening. So I just actually, I don't want to just live in my head anymore. I want to actually live a better life real time.
Okay. So your goal is to live a better life. Does that mean to be happier and experience more joy in your life?
Absolutely.
Okay. All
And
right, let's
safety.
safety. Okay, got you.
And yeah. Or like safety in all forms, because there was always a part of me that thought like the spiritual world is fake, like it's kind of like voodoo. It's kind of like this stuff that religion is something that we made up just to make ourselves feel better, you know, and I kind of believed it, you know. And I remember my old teacher, right, back from school, she said to me, I remember she didn't say to me, but she said to the class that, like, if somebody casts a spell over you, but you don't know anything about it, it just doesn't apply to you, which I don't know if that's true, right? But,
Mm.
it's just, I thought, like, if you just don't pay attention, you don't listen to it, you don't do anything, nothing's gonna happen to you, and you'll be fine. And then I'm starting to see that's not working. It's not real.
That's what you currently think? You would consider yourself
That's
like an
not
atheist at the moment?
No, 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 no. That's what I thought before, but I'm like, demons are real. You know,
Hmm.
that
Okay.
stuff is very, very, very real. Like, I used to think it was fake, like it didn't happen, but then I just I actually I want to get out of this. Actually,
Is it a fear of demons that's kind of propelling you in the direction that you say you wanna go in?
uh, is it a fear? I mean, there's like the scary Hollywood demons, but I'm very scared of that, but not just that, but it's just the effects that it has over my life. That's also something. I don't wanna be in the same place that I've been at, you know? That's the thing, 'cause, like, you know, that's where I'm at.
Okay. Do you want to talk about strategies for making your life better and achieving safety, achieving joy? Let's think of two
Abs
different strategies. Like, what are two different paths you could take?
Okay, yeah, other paths. Um, I guess praying every day could be a good start.
Okay. Praying every day. That's one strategy. What's another?
I guess just hoping that God's gonna fix me from the inside out
Okay.
by, yeah.
What's another one?
I guess I just think that everything else is gonna stem from there. All those good habits are gonna start kicking back up naturally. Like, it's no longer going to be as hard to fight like as it was, because now I have God, and God's gonna, like, I think the demonic interference is not gonna be there anymore with
Hmm.
God. Yeah.
Let's dig deeper if you're comfortable. Like,
Absolutely.
so one strategy might be praying, hoping to God. That almost could be one strategy. I think you could do both those things. They kind of go hand in hand. I think.
Yeah.
What's a radically different strategy? Even if you don't think it's going to work, what's another strategy that you could use?
You mean like a very radical one?
Sure.
I guess it would be. I mean, it's not feasible, but it's like I guess it would be like I don't know, moving in like I guess going to church every day, every single day,
Okay.
and being around church people and pastors and stuff, or maybe just outright moving to a church.
Okay.
I don't even know that's possible, but something like that.
Okay.
That's like
Gotcha.
super erotic. I don't even know if it would work. I don't know. It depends on what type of people are there, but yeah.
What
And you
about
think
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, along with those religiously centric methods for improving your life, can you think of any non-religious methods for improving your life? Stuff that doesn't involve any type of religion?
Things to. I mean, that's the thing I was saying. Like, I tried doing all that, the cold showers, 90 days, no fap, no things like that, and it just didn't stick and help as much as I thought it would. So, I mean, that's. I mean, I
Could
could start. I
could
found it
there
very hard to do those things.
could there be non-religious
Yeah.
methods that you have not tried yet or even considered?
I don't. No, I don't. I can't think of any. I can't.
Well, what do you do to improve your life? Like, well, I guess that's the whole point of the conversation. What do you do for fun? What do you walk away from and go, I feel fulfilled and like I enjoyed myself? Like, for example, me,
I.
I enjoy playing with my dogs. I go to movies with my
Mhm.
friends. I play video games. I read. Do you have anything like that?
I like watching movies, and I like sitting outside next to the road, next to like this nature part. I just sit there for hours sometimes, and I
Yeah.
just think. I think I think too much, but yeah, I like doing that, especially in the late afternoon.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I love nature myself. I love going on hikes and I love watching sunrises and sunsets, mostly sunsets because I'm a night guy. Um, so I guess Pierce, I'm not sure if this is the direction we're going in, but do all the methods because I just listed some things that improve my life and make me happier. You just listed a few things that you enjoy that has nothing to do with religion. Um, why do you think you find yourself in this pattern of seeking just religious solutions for improving your life rather than seeking any solution out, even religious and non-religious?
I think for for me, I think that I do believe there's something more that's happening than what's just than what I'm just seeing with my eyes. I don't think it's just that. I used to think like that. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to see it, right? But
Okay.
then it's like more and more stuff keeps happening, and I'm just like, no, it can't just be this. There must be more to this, and it's like all these like other things aren't helping or working. So I'm like, it has to be something to do with spiritual, and I don't want to just go with like weird spiritual things that I'm gonna clasp on. I want to go to like the main thing that's gonna help me the most, and I think that's gonna be Jesus, or that's
Uh,
gonna solve it, fix things, because I think there's something else happening.
all right. I'm going to ask you this, and I'm not at all trying to be insulting or anything like that.
It's okay.
But if let's say for a moment we consider Christianity false, and it's like it's a
Mm.
false religion, false belief, it's misled a lot of people. Either some other religion is true or no religions are true. Uh, Is that something you would want to know? Would you value having that knowledge? Is that something you would want to know would be the case? Or would you want to remain in this state where you just believe it's true?
I'd really want to know whether if it is the truth or not is going to be the something that takes me out of the suffering.
Okay. Because I'm asking that because, like I said, lots of other people also seek religious solutions for uh, struggles in life. And lots of them do find, go ahead.
Mm. No, I'm saying are we allowed to? Or is it a bad thing? Are we not allowed to go?
No, I mean, not making any judgments or declarations about what's allowed or not allowed.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is that, lots of people, they look for religious solutions, and they find their solutions in all kinds of religions, and all those religions all have contradictory claims. Like, for instance, Christianity says that Jesus is God, or Jesus was a prophet, or Jesus died and rose for sins. But then Islam says, no, Jesus wasn't that. Jesus was just a prophet. So you have different religions with different contradictory positions, yet people find comfort and improvement in life in those religions, even though those religions are false, right? So I guess the question I'm asking is basically, uh, with that in mind, do you think it's possible to improve your life without religious positions like that and just go with just non-religious positions?
I, do I think it's possible? Maybe, but I just don't think, for me at least, I just don't think like being like the way I am is gonna help me. I don't think this is a good long-term way, because trusting in myself and what I see and what I think, at one point or another, it's going to mess me up. But, if I stick within a religion, like some of the best advice I've ever got that's saved my life has been from religion, you know, has been from that. So I'm just like, if it's helped me before, why can't it help me again? You know, and those books have knowledge and wisdom that, is timeless, So that's really where I'm at about it, you know.
Would it be
What
fair to
is it? Go ahead, Eric.
my final question, I guess, then I'll let Pierce go into his questions.
Okay.
What I guess, what would you say you value more out of your religious beliefs? You value the truthness of them, or do you value their utility more? Like, how would you rank those?
I'd say both. I'd say both, the truthiness, and I think they go hand in hand, really. You know, I don't think it can be all that useful,
Do
but
you,
if it's not true,
do
especially,
you,
yeah,
can you name me a religion you could think is just categorically false?
that I think is false.
Yeah, like just any religion out there that you think is just false, like Jehovah's Witnesses, Scientology, Mormonism, anything.
Yeah, I'll probably say Mormonism,
Okay.
and I'll probably say
Do
Hinduism
you,
and stuff like that.
do you think Mormons find utility in their religion?
I guess. I mean, they look happy, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. Mormons are very tight knit communities. A lot of positives being a Mormon, a lot of utility in being a Mormon. But you
Yeah.
said that you think Mormonism is false. So going back to your previous comment where you say that they're linked, do you really think that your utility and the truthness of Christianity are linked? Could perhaps, hypothetically,
Mhm.
Christianity be false, but still have high utility?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, some of the Islam people, they look pretty happy as well. I mean, that stuff kind of
Mhm.
looks crazy sometimes, but
Yeah.
you know, I guess they look happy,
Yeah.
But I want to actually get to heaven, you know. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, it's like you can be on this world and things can be all cute and rosy, and you can have this and have that, and that's great. But then, what about what happens after? That's something that's important to me as well.
Okay. And what happens after? I'm sorry, Pierce, we're kind of going off on a tangent here. I'll
Let's
pass it back to you in a
go.
second. Promise. So you said that you have a concern about the afterlife, and you're concerned about where you would go after you die. And when I hear that, uh, it sounds like you do have an interest in the truth values of the religious propositions in Christianity, because like you could think of like things like Pascal's wager, where believing may net you some great benefit after you die, assuming Christianity is true, but Islam could be true. And by believing in Christianity, you're now condemning yourself in the Islam religion. So,
But yeah, okay.
okay. So I guess my point is that we have, like I was mentioning this earlier, we have two different religions with competing views, contradictory viewpoints. And talking about the afterlife in specific, because you just brought that up, do you think it's important to have tools to evaluate these two religions to determine which one is more likely to be true and which one's more likely to be false, or determine that perhaps both of them are false and some other religion is true? Do you think that's an important thing?
I do think it's important. I mean, I guess, yeah, it is important to have those tools. It is important to see as best as we possibly can. But I also think that even if you picked the wrong one, and you followed it as best as you could and you had a pure heart about it, I do think that if God is fair and he's really, really like, he's not like a bad guy, he's gonna forgive you and be like, look, he didn't know any better and he did try. So I do think there's like, I guess you get a sort of pass if you
Mhm.
did pick the wrong one in some sort of way. That's what I think though.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Pierce?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we went down a little bit different path here, and I think it was a great path. And if we have time, we'll come back to what the question I was going to ask. But you said
Okay.
like about the afterlife. If God is a good God, he'd forgive you. Like if let's say the gods of Hinduism are true, and you happen to be mistaken with believing that Jesus and the God of Christianity, maybe they're the same, maybe they're not. I don't know the details of which version you believe specifically. But if you happen to be mistaken, that those other gods will be like, hey, yeah, that's okay. I understand he made a mistake. He's clearly trying. He's a good person. We're going to let him into this afterlife anyways, or it can be reversed, obviously. And with that being said, would this God also forgive you if you're trying to find these tools, trying to figure out which religion is true, and you can't really figure it out, so you just kind of never attached to one of these religions because don't know which direction to go?
I mean, I think you just look at the tools you have, and make the best decision you can at that point in time.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's really it. I mean, you did the best that you could, knowing what you had at that time, and I mean, that's really it. I mean, yeah, maybe if things changed, I guess they changed, but until then, you stayed where you stayed at, you know.
Okay.
So I do think there has to be some level of past. I mean, there's some people who never heard about Jesus. I mean, at all. In some of these like other islands and other places and stuff like that. And let's just say Jesus and Christianity was real. I'm sure Jesus and I know God is not going to be like, oh, you didn't believe in me, so therefore you're going to. I mean, he's not going to be like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe some of these other religions. I don't know what they got going on, but maybe their God isn't you know as cool as ours. But you know, even still then, I mean, if he's really a god and he's really on that level, I mean, he has to have, or she, the god has to have some level of empathy for people who honestly didn't know, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, it
Hmm.
has to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't know or if you didn't know this was a crime, like you honestly didn't know and it's like honestly provable. No court in the world is gonna like actually put you like unless they're like being super mean and unreasonable where those things happen. But under normal circumstances, they were not going to like, take you to jail and arrest you and the next thing. They're not gonna do that. So I think that no matter which one I mean, pick the best one, you know. Even for those Mormon people, I guess. I mean, if they really believe that and they're really not that bad of a it's not that they're not a really bad person, not an evil person, or like maybe they just honestly didn't know any better. I'm sure even the Islam God wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're a bad person," or whatever. So that's
Well,
really for me though,
I'm
you
wondering.
know.
So we were talking about kind of tools and how we figure it
Yeah,
out, and maybe we don't have the right tool yet.
yeah.
Assuming that you have some sort of tool that you're using to come to your conclusion, would you mind talking about that a little bit?
Okay, so the religions that I'm very familiar with is like the Abrahamic ones, right?
Hmm.
And these other ones, that are outside. I mean, there's a lot, But like these other ones, like I don't know, they just seem kind of weird to me. This just doesn't make full sense to me, really, right? And I've
Gotcha.
heard other people talk about theirs, and some of their stuff sounds very smooth and sounds very nice, but I still think that Christianity is number one. Like one thing that I don't like about in Islam, one thing that I don't like, for example, is like one thing that they do a lot when they even some of the people when they preach about it or talk about it, they always talk about, oh yeah, Christians do this. And I'm just like, why do you need to talk about Christians? Like if you're such a powerful religion, just stand alone on yourself. Like why you always gotta put people down? That's just like just little things. It's
Uh,
just stuff like that, that just makes me go
yeah,
like, I don't know about those people, about that place, or like things like,
I don't mean to interrupt you here, but
okay, it's
I
okay.
just want to redirect a little bit. So I was trying to ask about what tool you may have used to come to your conclusion, like the possibly a reason or a method that you used to come to your conclusion that Jesus, Christianity is true. I'm just wondering what that was, what that is.
Oh, okay. So the thing is, for me at least, is like for the Bible, even the Quran a little bit, because I had like a little Muslim, almost Muslim phase ish kind of, right? But yeah, for the Bible is like the advice in it and the things that it talks about are timeless, and there are things in the Bible that can actually improve your life and that actually make your life that are actually true. So I do think that is like, and some things that explain how the world works and why some people are the way that they are, you know. So, and that's something that's like repeated like with human nature and stuff. Like you hear some of the stuff they talk about in the Bible back then, and it's kind of still stuff that's still happening to this day, you know. So I think that's something that's very important as well. I think it needs to actually help people's lives and actually improve people's lives. In addition, also like, and this is gonna be kind of weird, but like also like help them spiritually. And I know there's gonna be like, okay, how do you know that it helped them spiritually? But I
Mhm.
also think that's important as well. But it needs to,
Okay.
it needs to have you get what I'm trying to say. I know I'm
I
not
gotcha.
perfect,
I
but
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. What I'm going to do now, the question I'm going to ask here is it's kind of like a real reason check. So it's seeing if this reason for your belief is the actual reason that got you to your confidence.
Yeah.
So let's say that there's another book, the Vedas. It's a holy book from Hinduism. Let's say we read it together and we find that there is a ton of stuff that is just so helpful in there, practical stuff that improves your life. It makes you so much more relaxed. It's great for you if you take its advice. It's timeless. It can be used at any point in history. What would you think about that book? Would that book become just as true as the Bible? Would it not be as true as the Bible?
Um. Um. I don't think so. I mean, like maybe it might have, I guess, borrowed or have similar elements as the Bible, but I don't think it's still gonna be on the same level as the Bible. I don't think so, no.
Why is that the case?
Because, um uh, you know, we have God, and God did miracles. So therefore, if their God is, maybe they have a guy who did miracles in theirs too. I
Yeah,
don't know,
let's
it's
say they
hard.
do.
Yeah. Maybe they have a guy who did miracles in there too,
Yeah.
and they believe that. I guess is there evidence? Never mind. Just leave it. Yeah, it's kind of hard, It's kind of tough, but it is kind of hard. I don't really have all the perfect answers. I just want to be in the same place where I'm at anymore. I just want to be safe. I just want to break away from these chains and just not be here anymore, and just
Hmm.
be happier and fuller. Because I believe for me, one of the biggest things I want to do in my life is be able to help as much people as I possibly can, through building orphanages and stuff like that. But I need money to do so, and I got no money. But still, that's really what it is, this is all this is gonna be.
I hear you. So I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm off base, just say, "Hey, you're off base."
Okay.
But it sounds like this belief, and possibly the way you concluded it was true, and possibly also why it's important, might be the same here. And it's because it's bettering your life, it's bringing you joy, it's bringing you at least perceived safety or possibly real safety. And yeah, that I think is that accurate? Did I get that about right?
Yeah, that
Or
is that is accurate. Yeah,
okay,
that is.
gotcha. Well, I don't think I have too much more questions for you. We'll probably bring up the next caller here, but
Okay.
before I let you go, I just want to say one last thing. I think it's great to try to improve your life, and you're clearly doing that, and I think that's fantastic. One thing I do want to recommend is a book, and it's called Language of Life by Marshall Rosenberg. It is a
Okay.
great book. It's about communicating with others and communicating your needs and really having a conversation. It's kind of a little bit how this conversation with you and I, how it started. I was kind of using techniques from that, and it has brought me a lot of joy. So I just wanted to share that with you. You don't have to read it, but if you want to,
I,
there you
it's
go.
it's Language of Life by Mark
Marshall Rosenberg. Yes.
Marshall. Oh, okay. Oh no, thank you. Thank him
Yeah.
definitely. But you guys still think Christianity is pretty cool, right? Before I go, you guys still would recommend it, right?
Would we recommend it?
Yes.
I'll be blunt. No, I would not recommend Christianity for others. I do think that Christianity does have some positive benefits. It does have some utility to people. The same way that I think that Islam and Mormonism, other religions, have some positive benefits and utility. My primary concern is whether something's actually true or not. And if something can't be demonstrated to me to be true, at least to some reasonable confidence level, I tend to just reject it. So no, I don't think Christianity should be adopted more. I think it should be adopted less. But I'm definitely not faulting you for finding value in it and for using it as a method to improve your own life. I can absolutely understand the desire to want to pull yourself out of where you were before, improve your life, improve your attitude, improve your outlook. I can totally appreciate that, and I don't fault you for using whatever method works for it. But for me personally, I don't like telling other people to adopt something that I don't think is true. So I don't fault you, but I wouldn't do that.
And I'd echo exactly the same thing Eric would say.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for speaking to me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most
I have a
certainly
lot to think
welcome.
about. I'm just gonna read the book. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's
Perfect.
from me.
Yeah, and
Bye.
feel free to email either of us if you want to discuss more, or if you think about some of the questions we asked, or some of the responses you gave, or some of the things that we said. Maybe just general comments. If you want to talk more about it, feel free to reach out to us.
Where can I find you guys?
And go for Spears.
Okay, I'll cool. I'll
Uh,
find it.
Well, you can find me.
I'll find
You can
Yeah.
find me. I have a YouTube channel called Skeptics and Scoundrels. And my
Skeptics and
email address is skepticsandscoundrels@gmail.com. I think I'm the
gmail.com.
only one out there using that name, so you can Google me easy enough.
All right. Now I'll definitely find you guys, but thank you for everything. I appreciate it a lot. Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks, L-Dog.
no problem.
Bye.
All right. That was a great little chat. Got a
Was.
little cue. Yeah, this is fantastic. Got a little queue going on here, so I will bring up the next person here.
Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
It's good. You?
Doing pretty good. Inviting
It's
people
Friday.
up, having chats. It's Friday. Tomorrow my daughter's got a little soccer practice, like the first one. She's really young, so it's not anything too serious, but I'm looking forward to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, my My day's going pretty good. It's Friday. Work week's over. Got plans with my wife after this to play some Final Fantasy 11. So yeah, I got a good day going here, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, I guess I wanted to talk about abortion and kind of how I came to the Christian faith. I
Okay.
don't know where I should really start first, but
Are these two concepts connected?
yes.
Okay. Let's start out with how they're connected.
Okay. So I think how I came to Christianity when I was younger, like I didn't really take the Bible seriously or God seriously at all. I kind of just went to church because my parents did. And I think like cuz I'm on social media a lot and I notice a lot of people who have been committing blasphemy and it's just getting honestly just getting bigger. Like it's just growing. People are doing it more. And the thing is, I asked myself, like, why would people make fun of somebody who is not real? Like, it just doesn't make sense. People don't make fun of the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus that much, as much as they do God. And
Yeah. Well, why do you think they would make fun of something that they don't believe in? What motivation, what underlying motivation do you think there might be?
I feel like they know that God exists, but I think they just don't really know where to start. Like, they're confused.
Hmm.
Or they don't know, like, what faith to really take in.
That's
Uh,
one possibility. Are there any other possibilities?
Um, I do really feel like a lot of people in the industry do worship Satan, and they do this because
Another possibility. Is there a
uh,
third option?
not right now, no.
Hmm.
Umbra, let me ask you a hypothetical. Let's say we have a hypothetical different world where nobody believes in God, but lots and lots of people believe in leprechauns.
Hmm.
And some of those people use their belief in leprechauns to push legislation in their countries. Do you think that people who don't believe in leprechauns might speak out against that in that world?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Because I
Sure,
literally just
sure.
forgot everything. I'm so
No
sorry.
worries, no worries. I'm drawing a comparison between our world now and some other
Hmm.
hypothetical world because you made the comment that you're not sure why people speak out against God or are upset against God. I think is the way you put it. And you're not
Hmm.
quite sure why people would do that, and that must point to evidence that this God is real. And I'm proposing a hypothetical other world where instead of God, people believe in leprechauns and they're pushing legislation through in their countries based on their leprechaun belief. For instance, legislation that says nobody should be allowed to have a pot of gold in their house because the leprechauns demand it. People who don't believe in leprechauns in that world, do you think that they would speak out against the belief in leprechauns because perhaps they don't like legislation being created and pushed on them for something they don't believe in?
I do think it is wrong to force beliefs upon other people. I think
I agree.
belief just comes naturally.
I agree.
Um,
The point of my question though is
yeah,
when you look
sorry.
at our worlds and you wonder why do people speak out against God, the belief in a God, certain religions, maybe they have the same reason that the people in the leprechaun universe also have. They don't like the negative effects it has on the world they see. They don't like the legislation being pushed on them for beliefs that they don't hold. Like, can you kind of see the comparison there and kind of maybe better understand why people in our world speak out against religious beliefs?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Continue on, I suppose. We were you were talking about the connection between abortion and your belief in Christianity, I believe.
Yeah, so I live in like the United States, probably like you guys do, and I feel like the system or like the American system has always been prejudiced against women and their rights to do what they please. So I think in some cases, still even after reading the Bible a bit, that abortion can be justified in some cases. Even though the Bible says that life begins at first breath.
Life begins at first breath.
Would that mean that, if I'm understanding correctly, if the Bible were to say that life begins at first breath, that would mean abortion is okay at any time? Is that the conclusion we should come to?
No, not at any time. I think at some point, like if a woman is having unprotected sex, like consistently and especially consensually, then she should take responsibility at some point.
Okay.
And at least, have the child and possibly put them into adoption. But what I think I'm trying to get at is like, because like I feel like this country has such like a poor foster care system that like it could be justified because they don't want their child to be put in that spot. I think if
Okay.
adoption or if the foster care was much better, I think I'd be much more anti-abortion.
Okay. Gotcha. What, if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to share if you're not comfortable, but what is your stance on abortion?
I would say before even becoming a Christian, I was totally supportive of it, but I'm kind of in between like both where it's okay and sometimes it's not okay. I
Okay, so
don't
maybe
know how to really.
like circumstantial, like in
Yeah,
these circumstances it's okay, in these other circumstances it's not okay.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And with regards to this circumstantial stance that you take,
Hmm.
why, and abortion is an important issue to you because you're up here talking about it.
Yeah.
Why is it important to you?
Just because like, because I'm pretty feminist, I support women's rights and the ability for a woman to do the same thing a man does. So I think if what's it called, men were able to have pregnancy and and they didn't want to care about their children, there'd be more Starbucks than there would be abortion clinics because men support men and I'm not saying this about all men, of course, but
Okay, I think I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Coming back to out of that hypothetical situation, so we got women's rights, and that's what is important about what you think about abortion. So that's kind of what's important. What is it about women's rights that makes this issue so important to you?
So also the Bible says that a woman should be submissive to her husband. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying that is necessarily a bad thing. Of course it's not. It's God's word. But it's just like I can't really understand like why a woman can't be this provider or contribute the or at least like contribute the same things that a man does. I know that we're
Mm-hmm.
biologically different from men, but I don't feel like there are superiors. And sometimes when I read the Bible, maybe because I'm not really understanding what they're saying, that's how I feel that men are
Hmm.
these superior.
Gotcha. So you believe that both sexes, men, women, that they are equal and they are capable of the same things and should be treated in the same way with dignity, I would assume. Yeah. And then you read the Bible and you read some of these passages that are kind of putting men above women, saying men are better than women, or
I think
women.
that's what I think that's how I'm understanding it. Maybe I'm not understanding it correctly.
Okay.
That's my thing.
Okay. Gotcha. And currently, it sounds like you like to read the Bible. I would assume you believe the Bible is true.
Yeah, I honestly think it's the only way. But I will admit that there are some things I can do to better my faith, like reading the Bible more.
Okay.
I did
So
start off by praying, and it really did help me. Like, I remember praying just for like a few nights straight, and I woke up one day, and I thought I heard God's voice, and I was just thinking about it, like, so God is really real, like He'll really talk to us and stuff like that. So that's when I started reading my Bible and I started praying more.
Would you say that that event boosted your confidence that the Bible
Yeah.
is true?
Mhm.
If
But
you
I
had
just
been,
still have doubt. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So you have, so I guess from let's say from 0 to 100%, where's your confidence level that the Bible is true? From 0 to 100, with
Mm,
0 having no confidence and 100 being absolutely confident.
I'd say like I'm at 100 when I'm reading the Bible, but when I start to lose faith, like when I stop reading and I stop praying, it goes down to like maybe like the 50s.
Okay. So when you're reading the Bible, it goes up. And when you're not reading the Bible for a while, it goes down to 50%. Why do you think there's
Mhm.
such a wild fluctuation between your two confidence levels, depending on what you're doing at the time?
I think when reading the Bible, it gives people an opportunity to learn more about God and like have more of a relationship with him because it shows how much we really care about his word
Okay.
and everything and just having a relationship with him.
Um, are you concerned with, do you want to know whether the Bible is actually true or not? Like, do you want to have a method to find out whether what you're reading is actually true?
I
Or-
know it's true. It's just that sometimes I doubt some of the pages that are in here.
So I don't question that you believe it's true or even know it's true. I'm
Mhm.
asking, would you want to have a method by which to justify that statement? Because I can say, for instance, I know the Quran is true because when I read it,
Yeah.
my confidence spikes when I read the Quran. I imagine
Yeah.
you as a Christian wouldn't accept that as a viable method for determining whether the Quran is actually true or not. And a Muslim hearing that from you about the Bible would equally reject that method. Um,
Mhm.
so, are you concerned with the method that you're using and whether that method's actually effective or not?
Honestly, no, I'm not concerned.
You're not concerned.
I
So, you're not concerned with the
I
method. Are you concerned that it's actually true or not?
well no, because I truly believe in it. So
So,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So I think if someone reads the Quran, and I think that if someone is as confident, if not more confident than I am in their faith, then I feel like that's okay.
But let's say you as a Christian believe that I'm not. If I'm wrong in your position on this, please correct me. I'm just going with just general Christian theology. But I think you as a Christian, if you were to follow what the Bible says, non-believers are going to be punished, right? So would that not
Yeah,
concern you with that Muslim and whether that Muslim's using a robust methodology to determine whether the Quran's true or false? Because
it would concern me, but
yeah.
also you can't really like I can't really change everybody. I can't really change their belief.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
not.
can go out and say like, "Oh, I truly believe in the Bible. I think you should um condone in it." But I mean, I'm not saying that people who don't believe in the Bible are like bad people because they're
Oh
really
yeah,
not.
yeah. I'm not
It's
at all.
just
I'm not at all saying that's what you're saying.
it's just
The go ahead. Go ahead and finish up.
yeah, it's just that I mean, I might disagree with them, but I still believe that like we could live in peace with that.
Okay. So the question I asked earlier was whether you're concerned with the methodology using is robust or not in determining truth. And then I asked, and you said you weren't. And then I asked you whether you're concerned whether the Bible is actually true or not. And I believe you said you still weren't. But then we just brought up the whole issue of competing religions and the punishments in afterlife that might be waiting for us if one of these religions is true. And then you did
Mhm.
express concern over it. Do you think that maybe you actually do have some concern whether or not the Bible's true, some concern whether or not the Quran is true and any other holy book? Like, isn't there even just like a sliver of concern there? Because one of those just might be true. There might be
Yeah,
some afterlife
maybe
there waiting for you.
maybe some of these maybe some of the pages might not be true, so I guess that would kind of
Okay.
contradict what I said earlier.
Okay.
I'm wondering, so like some of the pages, some of the pieces of the Bible might be true, some of the pieces might be untrue. I'm wondering how we can figure out which pieces might be true and which pieces might be false.
That
So
kind of
I feel like sometimes I just don't like what I'm being told sometimes. Like if I'm being told that I should be submissive to my husband and all that, maybe I wouldn't like it because I'm a woman, but I could also say like that I believe that Noah went on the ark and he traveled across the world to save us, to save humanity.
could somebody like what they're reading? It could be any book. Could somebody like what they're
Yeah.
reading and what they're reading actually be false?
Um, like, are you saying it its entirety or just some of it?
Just a sentence. Just boil it down to just a single sentence. Like, can somebody read a sentence and they go, I like that. But that sentence is actually stating something that's false. Like, is that possible?
I think it is, yeah.
All right. And then inversely, can somebody read a sentence and go, I don't like that, and that sentence be true?
Yeah.
Okay. So does it stand to reason that our emotional reactions at what we read has no bearing over whether it's true or not?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like I'm very selective and I'm taking things that I like about the Bible into consideration or into like or I tend to like enjoy them more, but the parts that I don't like, I'm like really against and it
Okay.
kind of decreases my faith.
So you read the Bible, there's sentences in the Bible that you like and sentences in the Bible you don't like. And I think
Mhm.
we both just agreed that that emotional reaction to what you're reading doesn't tell us at all whether that sentence is true or not.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other way to determine whether what you're reading is actually true or not?
I'd say just based on my surroundings and how other people might act.
How other people might act. Can you give me an example?
Um, so the Bible talks a lot about like non or false prophets who may come to Christians and
Okay.
try to get these Christians to sin, do bad behavior and whatever. But Sorry, I'm like
No
kind of
worries.
nervous.
No worries. No pressure here. So the whole point of the exercise that Pierce and I are going through with you is to get you to reflect and think. So if there's going to be pauses and you're sorting thoughts out, that's totally by design. We want to hear that happening. So yeah, take your time with any of your answers.
But like the Bible also says that women are like as precious as rubies, which I'm like totally for, because I really do believe that women are like this really like. I think I just fell off track. I'm so sorry.
No worries. No worries.
But
Going back to kind of the core of the questions here is we're asking you, where are you getting your confidence that the Bible is true? Do you think
so
that go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm like actually so sorry.
No worries.
I think I get my confidence again from Christians on social media. Like when I come here to this channel, I talk to a lot of Christians about the Bible and just about their opinion, and I think that's a great experience for me because I get to learn more about what other Christians believe and why some things are okay, why some things are not according to the Bible.
Okay.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a whole thought experiment for you. So,
Yeah.
I got a buddy. His name's Alan. He's a great guy. If you
Mhm.
met him, you'd really like him. He's actually not a human being. He's from outer space. He just arrived here. Okay. He doesn't know anything about humans, human culture, human religions. Fresh slate, clean slate. Never been here before. First time. Just gets out of a spaceship.
Mhm.
Hears us talking, and you're talking about Christianity in the Bible, and coming on to social media and this Discord server. You're talking with other Christians, and
Mhm.
he's like, I want to figure this out. I want to know if Christianity is true. I want to know if Hinduism is true. I think he might have heard Eric say that earlier. He wants to know if Islam is true. He wants to know which one is true. Oh, how should he go about figuring that out? What's the best way for Alan to figure out which one is true?
I think he should read through the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, etc., and just find out which one he agrees with the most.
Okay. I'm a little confused by that, and maybe you can bring some clarity here. So earlier when you were talking to Eric, you said like, people can read these sentences specifically, and we can have like a reaction to them, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're true or false.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant like what they believe is best for them.
Okay, what they believe is best for them. Is
What is
that
best for them to follow? Yeah.
does that necessarily make it true?
Not in all
Yeah.
cases.
To
Okay.
kind of add some flavor to what Pierce just said with the hypothetical, Alan the alien is not concerned with what sounds best to him. He's concerned with what's true. He wants to sort out truth from falsehoods. So he's kind of divorced from emotional influences on that, divorced from preference. He just wants objective. This is true. This is not true. That's his goal. So,
Mhm.
so when Alan asks you, Umbra, I want to know which one of these religions is true, if any. What would you recommend he do?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I could really give like the best perspective just because I started out by praying and not reading the Bible. So I mean, I could say that prayer would help you.
Mhm. How would prayer help Alan determine which one of these religions is true?
Hmm. I think just talking to God, putting your feelings out there, and I feel like that also comes with like trusting your gut with
Mm.
with I guess
But
who's talking to you and what they're trying to say to you.
you think of if Alan came down, and then we had another alien come down, and his name was, let's say, Brandon, and then we had a third alien come down, and his name was Trevor, and we all of them decided to pray to come to their conclusion. Do you think one might end up a Hindu, one might end up a Muslim, and one might end up a Christian?
Yeah, I do think that if there were like a bunch of aliens that came down here, they transitioned to a bunch of religions.
Yeah, I guess if these aliens can come down and one can go this direction and one can believe this is true, and this one was a Muslim Christian, if they can come to so many different conclusions, what does
Yeah.
that say about the method, the use of prayer? Is that a good way to figure out what is true then, if they can come to different conclusions?
Mm, I'm not. Yeah, now that I remember, maybe not truth, but maybe it's just like their truth and like just their personal belief. Like how
Hmm.
they think this religion is possibly gonna help them. Like what are they gonna take from it? And how can they use this to like possibly benefit their life?
So
When people,
I mentioned earlier that their objective, they're seeking objective truth. So with objective truth, there is no your truth, my truth. There's just truth, right? Like
Hmm.
we live in a world together. I'm holding a pen here. Um, there's no your truth of whether I'm holding this pen or not. I am holding this pen or not based on the condition of reality. So that's kind of what we're getting at there is that these aliens, mainly Alan, they're looking for truth on this. So when you say, well,
Yeah,
you need to pray and seek your own truth, um, Alan can simply say, well, my own truth might not reflect reality. Because if Alan, one alien, and Trevor, the other alien, they adopt personal truths, and one of their personal truths is Eric is holding a pen, and the other one's personal truth there is Eric is not holding a pen. One of them is wrong. So the
yeah.
methodology they use to get to those positions is flawed. It's not reliable.
I think
Would you
yeah.
agree?
I think the absolute truth is that we won't really find out until the end, like which religion might be right and which religion might not be right.
if we won't find out till like the very end, what should we think now? What should we believe until then?
Mm, what should people believe for now? That's a good question. I don't really know like what to really say about that because as a Christian, I believe that you can find God right now. Like you can find Jesus right now. I'm not sure what people I mean, I feel like as a Christian, I feel like I wish everyone believed kind of what I believed, but if so they can avoid eternal damnation and then have salvation. But of course, like I said, I can't really force that upon people. I can only hope that they might convert.
So you mentioned that you have a motivation. You want other people to adopt Christianity because you want them to avoid eternal damnation. So
Just
let's
because
say
that
uh
yeah.
let's say you're telling that to Alan the alien. Alan, I really want you to believe Christianity so you can avoid eternal damnation. But then you have a Muslim right there and saying, Alan, I really want you to adopt Islam so you can avoid eternal damnation. So he's experiencing both of these claims and motivations from two different sources, and they directly conflict because the Muslim is saying, no, the Christian's wrong. You'll be damned if you believe Christianity. And the Christian's saying, no, the Muslim's wrong. You'll be damned if you adopt Islam. Does Alan have anything that he can use, a process, a method to determine who's right and who's wrong, or maybe they're both wrong? Is there anything he can do?
Now that you say it, I don't know how to really answer that question.
It's fair enough. Do you think it's an important question to answer?
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think
Let's
that this?
I'm sorry, Pierce. Let me maybe lower the stakes a little bit. Maybe we can see if there's other processes we can use. So let's say instead of asking about a God belief, let's say, Umbra, you were approached by two people, and one of them says, Umbra, if you give me your social security number right now, I will transfer $100,000 to your bank account. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other person says, Umbra, don't do that. If you give him your social security number, he's going to withdraw $10,000 out of your bank account. How would you go about figuring out who's right and who's wrong there?
Well, the guy who would be offering me money to share my social security number, I feel like I'd have to know more information about him, like his
Okay.
background and what he stands for and all that type of stuff.
That's a good start.
I
So
don't.
you would ask about the
Yeah.
background and the history of the person making the offer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can you think of anything else?
And the guy who said don't, I would hope I would know that person, just because I think if I knew that person who's telling me not to do it, I hope that person was wishing the best for me and wasn't trying to prevent me from possibly getting $100,000 for doing so.
Yeah. You would want to maybe understand the motivations behind both people, right? Not necessarily just their background, but what
Yeah.
both of them want.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could be possible that the person telling you not to do it doesn't want you to get that money. Maybe the person offering
Yeah.
the money is correct, and he's telling you the truth, but the person who's telling you not to do it has some motivation to keep you poor,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, figuring out motivations is a good way to do it. So, analyzing history, figuring out motivations. Is there a third thing maybe we can look at?
Not off the top of my head that I can really think of
All
now.
right. Well, we'll take the two
But
just right there. But you
okay.
right there laid out a process of investigation, evidence collecting, and then evaluation of that evidence. That's a process. That's a
Yeah.
methodology.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the claims about which religion is true, could you perhaps take that methodology that you just used for the money offer and apply it to the religious claims?
Yeah, I feel like you could. I just didn't think about it like that before, so that's my bad.
There's no bad here. This is all about reflections and stuff like that. So, okay, great. Thanks for answering those questions. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I don't think I have any more questions, but Umbra, if you have any questions for us, now would be the time to ask if you want.
I don't think I really do. I feel like I know what I need to do to really increase my faith and be absolutely sure with having no doubt in my mind that Christ is the way. That's something I can only help myself with.
What is that?
Oh, just by reading the Bible and everything. I feel like no one can force me to get closer to God. That's something I must do myself. That or like I mean I know we just had this talk and everything, but it's just something I strongly believe in. So I'm gonna just
Is there
kind of
is there a possibility? I'll ask this last question because is there a possibility that the God that you're striving towards doesn't exist, and maybe some other God is a real God?
I feel like the way believe I feel like the way I believe my love for God in many cases is right, is good for me to have. But it is possible that some pages in the Bible could be false.
All right.
I said I didn't have any more questions, but I'm gonna ask one last one. So remember Alan, right? So if he came down and then we meet back up in, I don't know, let's say 6 months, and we start having a conversation, it was a lot like the one that we had today, you and I. And Alan comes over to my place and we start to chat, and he says, yeah, I believe in Hinduism because I read, the Vedas, and I came really close to my gods. And, that's really the way that I get closer to them. And, could he be mistaken by that? Could Alan be incorrect?
I feel like maybe he could.
Yeah. Could you be mistaken also?
Like, this is just me speaking here, just because I've read the Bible so much. I don't feel like I could really resort to any other religion. Like, this is like what I'm sticking to. I admit, like, I know I can be a little stubborn and everything, but I'm comfortable with my faith in Christ. That's just me. I'm not trying to like disrespect you guys. I hope I'm not being rude.
Not at all.
That's
No,
just
no.
how, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was really my last question now, but I appreciate you coming up. I appreciate you talking to us, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks,
Yeah.
Embra.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Right. This will probably be the last caller we have because we are starting to come up. We're on an hour and a half here. So
Wow. Time flies.
Good evening.
does.
Good evening.
hello.
Okay.
I'm going to try to increase your volume here. Not
All right.
sounding so good here. All right.
All right. So, is there any like specific topics that you guys want to talk about?
I like religiously based topics, but it can be anything you want.
Right.
Before we get into it,
Well-
Meili, is that how you pronounce your name?
Melly.
Meili. Okay.
So, we can talk about religious topics. Obviously, that's
Sure.
the main reason I came up here. So, you guys are both atheists, right? Or agnostic.
Yeah, I'm both.
So, you don't believe that there is a God, or do you believe that there could be a God? You just need substantial proof.
I'm an agnostic atheist, so I don't believe any gods exist, but I don't claim knowledge that no gods exist. So I'm perfectly fine with entertaining the possibility. But in order to
Okay.
raise my confidence level that a god exists, I would need to have evidence.
That's
And
where I said as well.
And like
Okay, so
a robust
you believe
methodology.
that there could be with evidence, right? Is that what you said?
There could be a god, no evidence. So got to kind of separate
Right.
the two. So there could be a god. I'll say, sure, there could be one. I would need to have evidence in order to increase my belief in that god, though.
So, is there any topics of Christianity you guys want to talk about specifically, or none that you guys could think of that would?
I'll
need
tell you
to
what,
be talked
Melly.
about?
I think I can get a topic really easily
All right.
that I think all three of us would want to talk about.
All right.
With regards to Christianity, why is it important to you?
It's important to me. It's my entire afterlife on the line. It's my entire salvation. It's the hope and the faith that, whenever I die, there's a reason to why I lived. Like, there has to be more than just, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, going on about my day. There has to be something bigger as to why humans or even me is on this planet. There has to be something, in my opinion, there's something more after death. And I believe that it's either heaven or hell.
So with the afterlife as one of your primary concerns,
Mhm.
Do you think it's important whether you have an accurate understanding of whether Christianity is true or false? Do you think that's an important thing
Yes.
to be able to deal with? And then do you think that method you use by which to reach
Yes.
that conclusion is also important.
Yes.
Okay. Good news.
And I've used some pretty substantial evidence. If you want me to get into that, I know you asked a few people earlier, not to bash on them or anything. They didn't really give their evidence as to why they think Christianity is true, and that's no hate to them.
Okay.
But that's just something that I heard. Okay.
I'd be totally down to hearing your evidence. Since we're limited on time, Pierce, stop me if you got other questions you want to get into before we dive into this. What do you consider is your strongest piece of evidence that Christianity?
Eyewitnesses, all the testimonies, all the manuscripts, and I'm not talking about just the Bible. I'm talking about all the ancient manuscripts, all the non-historical evidence that we have. Like,
Okay.
I don't think this world, this earth, just came from nothing. I think there is a higher being that made this earth an intelligent life form, whether that's, the God of Christianity, the God of Islam, the God of whatever, right? I believe there is a higher power that made the world, and that the world cannot have just came from nothing. You don't just get human beings from nothing. You don't just get the world from nothing.
Okay. So, with the topic of eyewitnesses, you mentioned eyewitnesses from the Bible, and
Right.
also eyewitnesses that are extra biblical or outside from the Bible. Which of those do you value higher as evidence? The biblical ones, the non-biblical ones?
For me, it would be the biblical ones, because as a
Can you-
Christian,
Can you name me one of them?
that's what. So John,
John.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, all the
So
disciples, and
the four Gospels.
all the
okay.
disciples.
Okay.
I'd say that's another thing.
Matthew, Mark,
Matthew,
Luke,
Mark,
and John.
Luke, and John, all
Okay.
the disciples.
Do you have one of
Um,
those which you value higher than the others, or do you think they're all equally?
Matthew.
You think Matthew? Okay.
Matthew. So, if you want to go over the topic of, I can give you the understanding of the Gospels and how I see them. If that's what you want me to do, I can go over it.
I would like to ask. You are referring to Matthew as an eyewitness.
Yes.
Why do you think Matthew
walked
was an
with Jesus.
eyewitness in the Bible?
His claims.
Yes,
I don't
okay.
think that the disciples would not have died for something that they did not believe in, especially in the gruesome deaths that they had.
So
Like, why? So let me ask you a question real quick. Would you die openly? Would you let somebody, murder you for something you did not believe in 100%, no questions asked? Would you let somebody murder you?
I doubt it.
If you believed in something 100% and you knew that's where you were going, if you knew you were going to heaven, right? 100%, no questions asked, hypothetically. Would
I
you
highly
die?
doubt I would let something like that happen. No.
So
let's
you
go-
wouldn't let somebody kill
Let's
you?
just go ahead and say
for that
no. I
purpose.
would not allow myself to be killed for that.
Okay. So why would the disciples have let that happen if they did not have their belief?
So you're claiming Matthew.
Mark, Luke, John, all the disciples
You mentioned
died for their faith.
Yeah, you mentioned Matthew as your primary. So let's
Yeah, he's my primary.
let's limit the scope to just Matthew for a bit. Do we know
Right.
how Matthew died?
Yes. I can get it for you right now if you really want. Is that what you wanted? You wanted how he died?
How did Matthew die, and how do you know, basically?
So there was orders to kill him. Okay. So technically it was more like a murder, but there was orders to kill him. So and it was in Ethiopia. It was in Ethiopia. And it was by celebrating at the Mass at the altar.
Is that from the Bible or from an extra biblical source?
That is from an extra biblical source. That is from an eyewitness who saw him. And I'm pretty sure that it's mentioned in the Bible. I'm not 100% sure because off the top of my head. But that's how we know that he died.
That's how we know he died. So,
or believe, whichever one you feel more comfortable with.
Okay. So is it possible? So let's just say that, okay, we have this extra biblical source that says how Matthew died. I'm not sure where the source is or what it is or what the the timing of it is, right? Because Matthew was written likely 30, 40 years after the crucifixion. So this
Right.
other report about Matthew dying is decades even after that. How do we know that this account is accurate, or who wrote it?
Testimonies. I don't base everything off of me witnessing it. So I don't have to witness how they died. I don't have to witness how
I'm
Jesus
not
lived.
asking.
I
So I'm not
know.
asking.
Okay.
You might misunderstand me. I'm not asking.
Right.
How can you justify without witnessing it? I believe lots of things happen without myself witnessing it.
Right.
I'm asking about justification and your confidence that this actually happened.
So you're asking why I'm confident that this happened?
Yeah.
Because I don't believe. Well, there's a lot of people that can lie. Right? We all know people can lie,
I agree.
but I take on the confidence that someone would not lie about it. Plus,
But it is possible somebody did lie about it, right?
yeah, that's always the possibility on
Yeah.
how that they could have
So
lied about how he died.
you're expressing confidence that this account is not a lie, but the possibility
Right.
still remains that it is a lie, or not even a lie. It could be
Right.
just a mistranslation, a forgery. It could be false memories. Somebody could have been hallucinating it and wrote it down. Like there's different other explanations as to why the account's not true, right? So
Right.
different possibilities. You're expressing confidence that it's true, and I understand that. But I'm asking, why is that confidence so high?
Because my faith in the eyewitness that would have witnessed his death. That's why.
Faith.
Faith
Okay.
is
Do you
my
think-
strongest point.
Do you think faith is a reliable way of determining whether something's true or false?
Depends. In my defense, for me, I can bring up Jesus, right? My faith in the Bible is that all those eyewitnesses and all those testimonies and everything that's written in the Bible, my faith is on the line. My life is on the line. The fact that I believe in that, right? Because let's just take your opinion that God does not exist, right? I could be a fool following something that doesn't even, that never even happened. I could be a fool. But my faith is what keeps me connected. My faith in the fact that Jesus Christ lived, died, rose again, was born of a virgin. My faith in everything that the Bible holds, all the historical accounts, everything that's in the Bible. My faith on that, just kind of like
So Melly,
my faith is that holding ground.
So Melly, can
Mhm.
somebody have immense faith in something and it be false?
In a sense, yes.
In a sense, yes.
Yes,
So
it is possible.
I mean, we can point to very real examples. I'm sure you probably think that there are things in Islam that are patently false, and yet many people on that side hold high degrees of faith to certain Islam teachings. Right.
So you said what? My bad.
So the point of the question I'm asking is what's the method you're using to determine whether something's true or not, and whether that method's reliable? And you're going to faith. And so I'm asking, can somebody have extremely high sense of faith in something and that thing still be categorically false?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you know that's not the situation you're in?
How do I know it's not the situation? Rational reasoning.
Okay.
If I'm gonna be rational, right, I have to think of things logically, right? And all my logic at least, points to the fact that the Bible is true. And I have no doubt in me. I have no doubt, right? Some other people could. I have no doubt that the Bible is true. And it's based off of rational thinking, the world we have, free will. We all have free will. You have the free will to make your choices, right? You can make the choices that you want to do tomorrow, right? You would say that you have free will, right? That's the question I'm asking.
I guess it depends on what you mean by free will. But
You
no,
can-
I'm a determinist for the most part, so I don't think free will is really a thing.
So you don't have the will to do the choices that you make.
I don't have the will to do the choices that I make.
Okay, so let me rephrase that.
I make choices, but I don't think those choices are necessarily inside of any type of control where I could have chosen otherwise in the same situation. It's dogmastic involuntarism basically is what I lean towards.
Okay, so you don't believe in free will.
Not really, no.
Okay.
Depends on the definition.
I do.
But in general, no.
Okay.
But here's the thing, though. What does free will have to do with determining whether the Bible is actually true or not?
So that was a whole different topic that I was talking about.
Okay.
But I guess we'll get back to the core point, the core topic. Rational thinking, logical thinking is how I determine whether or not the Bible is true.
Along with your faith.
Along with my faith.
Okay.
My faith is the strongest point. But if I want to be rational and logical.
Could you drop faith and still have rational belief in the Bible?
Some people would say yes. I would say no.
No. So the faith is a critical component along with your rationality.
Yes.
Okay. So we established earlier that someone can believe that faith.
Someone can believe, yes.
Someone can believe something that's not true on faith, and that thing is still not true, right? Yeah. And I asked you directly, how do you know you're not in that situation? And then you said, well, I have my rationality. So what is the rational process you're going through to determine that, for instance, Matthew actually wrote Matthew, and what the words inside actually reflect reality? Like why do you trust Matthew was actually written by Matthew?
That's actually a really good question. That's a really good question.
Because it's possible somebody wrote something,
right,
and titled it Matthew, but that person's not actually Matthew. Or it's possible somebody wrote something, and then somebody later on put the name Matthew on it, right? Like there's different ways that Matthew came about without actually Matthew writing it, right?
I guess it would mainly be faith. My faith is in the fact that Matthew wrote Matthew.
But faith can lead you
wrote Luke.
I understand, but see,
right.
But faith can lead you to wrong positions. I think we already established.
Yes,
that, right?
Faith can lead you to wrong points.
Okay, so how do you know that Matthew didn't actually write Matthew, and your faith is leading you to an inappropriate conclusion about it? Is there anything else you can use?
Not off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head, no.
If Matthew wasn't actually written by Matthew, would you want to know that? Would you want to know the actual reality of it if it was the case that Matthew wasn't written by Matthew?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a sense, yes.
All right.
In my sense, everybody would want to know the truth, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to know the truth?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I can totally appreciate that position. Like, I want to know what the truth is,
right?
Whether or not I like it or not, whether or not my emotions will be negatively impacted or my outlook would be negatively impacted. Like if I was going to die next week, I would probably want to know, even though I wouldn't like the idea, but at least I'm operating in the world under some better, more knowledge, more accurate understanding of the world. So I mean, I can appreciate that. I really value that. So the question is, how can we evaluate our confidence that Matthew actually wrote Matthew when we know faith doesn't get us to right conclusions, or has faith doesn't always get us to right conclusions? Granted, it might get you to the right conclusion sometimes, but not all the time. And we have this book called Matthew, which has a bunch of claims in it. And I'll just cut to the chase on that. Biblical scholars, general consensus, they think the Gospels were anonymous because we have no signed copies of Matthew. Nowhere in Matthew does the book say, I am Matthew, here's what I saw.
Right.
And we also have strong evidence that Matthew is derivative of Mark. So me personally, my position, these are things that lower my confidence in the book of Matthew.
Right. I see where you're coming from now. So hypothetically, right? If Matthew is not written by Matthew, right?
Mhm.
Whoever did write that, right, knew Matthew. Or, it could also be like, people could also say, oh, well, it was just a fairy tale. Or it could just be, non-historical, right?
All possibilities.
If what that gospel says is true, whoever wrote it, if it was not Matthew, knew Matthew and knew Jesus very well.
Also a possibility. So we have all these possibilities.
Right.
Matthew was written by Matthew and actually recounts true events. Or Matthew was written by somebody who knew Matthew and the events are still true. Or Matthew was written by somebody who knew Matthew and the events are false. Like there's all kinds of possibilities all over the place, true and
Yeah.
false and all your different combinations. And I think you mentioned earlier, your afterlife is riding on this.
Right.
These are important. Your methodology for getting to the truth value here is actually really important. Faith might not lead you there, unfortunately. So what does that leave us after that? You mentioned your rational thinking. So
Right.
what would be your rational process for determining your confidence level in Matthew here, do you think?
I would say based off of what they wrote. Like, obviously, a lot of other, religions have their own scripture, right? That they could say their faith and their rational thinking that aligns with their God, right? So, in the sense where I could do the same with mine. And, obviously, I guess the rational thinking part could lead to it not being true. So, I really don't know. About
That's
that.
fair enough. Yeah, it's fair enough.
Wish I had a better answer.
If Matthew, if you woke up tomorrow and you thought about this and you say, hey, you know what, I really don't have a solid reason to think that Matthew wrote Matthew and the accounts inside are accurate depictions of history, what would that do to your confidence in Christianity overall?
I would say it would drop it a little bit. Definitely would.
Okay.
Would definitely drop my confidence.
Okay, I appreciate that. Pierce, got any lines on questioning? Sorry, I kind of took over there.
No worries. Hey, Valley, you were listening when I talked about Alan the Alien, right?
Yes.
How do you think Alan the Alien would figure out if, the Bible is an accurate depiction of history or if it's not?
Guess I really don't know based off of that. Because I guess there could be many different ways to do it. To figure out whether or not, the Bible is true, the Quran's true, the Torah is true, whatever scripture or whatever, historical accounts. There could be a way, but off the top of my head, I just don't know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Has your confidence decreased at all during this conversation?
I would say, in a sense, no. For me, no. Right? And don't take that the wrong way. I always appreciate talking to people. But I would like to think that I have, sort of an understanding of the Bible. Even though, it could all be fake. Everything could have just been, fake. But I would like to, hold on to at least a belief, And my belief would be Jesus Christ. That's my belief. Is that he lived, he died, rose again, and that's the belief I would like to hold,
Is
Everybody-
there a connection between you holding on to your belief and why it's important to you? Are those two of the same?
Yes. So me holding on to my belief has an important value to me because I used to be in a bad situation, right? Way worse than, the situation I am now. But once I put some faith in, hope, faith into Jesus, some stuff did get better. Now, it doesn't all just get better instantly. It's a process for me at least. But I definitely noticed improvement in my life whenever I put my faith in Jesus Christ.
What would you say if, let's say, a Muslim said to you, "I put my faith in Allah and His Prophet Muhammad, and my life improved," and they use that as a reason to believe in the religion, and use that as a reason they think the religion is true? What would you say to somebody like that?
I guess they'd be in the same thing as me. They'd be pretty much the same like me. They would put in their faith into a higher power. If they say their life got better, they'd be kind of the same like me in a sense.
Do
So
you think it would be important to figure out a way to kind of break that stalemate?
yeah,
It's probably an important thing to think about.
because
If we
I
have-
didn't really think about it like that.
We have Christianity and then we have Islam, and they're both good ways, or a way to improve your life, right?
Right.
What's the second best way? Is there an alternative?
For me, no, not that I've thought of.
Okay. Is there for other people?
Could be. There's somewhat thought of them. I don't know
Mm.
off the top of my head, but
Do you think one of those has potential? I'm not saying it would, but one of those have potential for you to improve your life, make it better, bring you joy?
depends. Yeah, I guess it could.
Okay.
It could be an alternative.
Okay. Are they worth exploring or not really?
I'm not 100%, not out of the question to explore, life stuff. So I would say, yeah, I could always take in everything. I like to, try to find as much knowledge as I can. So yeah, I would.
If you did find this other strategy to, fulfill the need of wanting to improve your life, bring yourself joy, and you found a different strategy that would work just as well, what would that do to your confidence in Christianity at that point?
Oh, I would still keep it.
You'd still keep it?
And
So forgive me.
Yeah, like I said,
I'm gonna ask maybe an awkward question here, so forgive me. But you said you valued rational thinking earlier,
right?
but now you just said that if your confidence was lowered in something, you would still accept it as true.
Mhm.
So it might just be me, but I don't see that as rational.
Right.
How do you square those?
So you asked me that if something else could make my life equally as better as religion, right? If I said, okay, I'm not going to go down that route and I still wanted to stay with my religion, I guess that wouldn't be really rational, would it? But to me, it would be rational. So, everybody has a different thinking process, right? Everyone thinks differently. No one thinks the exact same. I like to think that religion is, or especially Christ, is my way to, find happiness, find the truth. But somebody could always, try to point me to a truth. I'm always acceptable to, other people trying to, find out the truth as well.
So let's say tomorrow, hypothetically, you realize that, let's just come with one scenario. Let's say tomorrow morning you woke up and you realize, you know what, Christianity is false. Islam is true. Would you switch over to
Right.
Islam?
Rationally, the thinking, that would be, a possibility. But
Okay.
if I woke up tomorrow and I, had the idea that Christianity is false, Islam is true, I would still not. I would throw rationality out the window. I would still not.
Okay. So then you're really looking for utility and emotional comfort out of your beliefs then, not rationality.
In a sense, I guess it could be like that. but I don't look for Christianity to be, my source of how to live good on earth. I look at Christianity. I look at the Bible specifically and Christ on how to save my soul, how to save my salvation, how to give me salvation, how to, work in my life the idea of salvation. So that's how I think of Christianity.
Okay. I think I'm good for questions with Melly. Thank you, Melly.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sorry,
Have
I
any
didn't have
questions for us?
Yeah. Ask us where you
I
want.
just want to say sorry I didn't have that many like good answers, but
No problem.
I do
It's
appreciate the conversation.
the conversations are more engaging when people aren't expecting the type of questions that we present, because at least it shows
Right.
that we're exploring things that haven't really been all that well traversed by some individuals, and it's great. It's challenging ourselves, and it's the whole point of the exercise. So yeah, no need to apologize. Don't feel bad for it. This went swimmingly. I think this was great. So thank you.
Thank you guys for the conversation.
All right. You have a good evening.
Anytime.
Have a good night.
All right. Well, that just about wraps it up. We're right at 2 hours, and that's where I like to be for these things. Otherwise, my brain starts getting cooked. I start getting tired. But yeah, I think that went really well. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah. I really enjoyed myself. I think we had some good conversations. It was great practice for street epistemology for me. It's this is a nice environment for this, like just pure street epistemology, just going for it, getting better at it. I'm by no means perfect at the process, but yeah, it's a great environment for doing that. And like other conversations that I'm in, like when I'm over on the line or when I'm over on some other channel, the atmosphere is different, the process is different, so it's harder to practice street epistemology in those conditions. But over here, this was great because this was like just to almost like pure academic exercise as we were going through this. So I really enjoyed it. So yeah, this was great. And yeah, I hope you invite me back for this, and I look forward to next time.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely will. I really like the server. You get, like, you talk about the line, and the people calling in can be a little bit, what's the right word? Defensive, I guess you could say. And
Flavorful.
yeah, and everybody here seems really kind and willing to listen. So, I really enjoy that. I think this is a great server with people who are willing to communicate, to express their ideas, think about their ideas, and I really love that. I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. And the guy who commented, that guy has a weird beard, that just cracked me up. That was great. I don't know if that was like an Eminem and a Machine Gun Kelly reference, but if it was, hats off to you. Great job. He made me smile anyways, and I loved it. But with that being said, I don't know if Eric will come to the after show, but I will be there. To get there, it's a little tricky. I like to put it in the comments, but I don't have that permission on the server. But if you do click on my Discord profile, the link is in there. So that is where I will be. And I recommend clicking it now, because once I end the stage, I won't be here and you won't be able to click on it. So I do recommend doing that as I'm speaking. Any last thoughts, Eric, before we end it?
No, I think we're good. And again, I appreciated this. And yeah, thank you to Christ Centered for hosting us tonight and having a hospitable, friendly environment. So yeah, thanks a lot. And kudos to everyone. Everyone have a good evening and have an awesome weekend.
See you, everybody.